Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Robb Ellis here. We are now looking at right at the top of the hour, 3 o'clock this Saturday evening. I want to give you an update of what you can expect for the rest of this evening, because if you're in Indy, as most of you are, you're probably going, hang on, where's the rest of the snow? And don't worry, it is going to be on the way. We're going to start to see this fill in. The next batch is almost here. It's crossing the state line. The batch that came through a little bit earlier has now drifted farther to the north, and that's causing some big problems. The biggest concern right now is going to be traffic, and that has really already taken its toll from the first batch that came through. When this next batch comes through, I think we're going to additionally see some issues. Check this out. This is Interstate 70. This video was taken just a few moments ago. This is close to Terre Haute, so this is about 15 miles from the state line. You are looking at the westbound lanes of traffic from Interstate 70 as a multiple vehicle accident has shut down this interstate. And we are told from state police that good news here was there were no injuries from these accidents, a series of accidents, but that the Interstate 70 westbound near Terre Haute in Vigo County is likely going to be shut down for multiple hours. We're told as long as 6 hours because of this. It will take some time. Let me show you also this, Interstate 69. This is southbound traffic. This is between Fort Wayne and Indy. This is really closer to the Huntington or Marion area. This is also slow going, if not shut down. In fact, I've looked at a couple of cameras here where we're seeing a shutdown on the southbound side. Let me take you to our traffic maps and show you where this is located. The good news here for Indy is that things are looking pretty good right now across the city. That break that I just showed you in the radar that you're seeing there in the radar bottom of your screen, that's going to be some good news because that will let some of the road treatment work. It will also give us a break between some of the heavier bands, but the next band is on the way. Looks good in Indy. To the west, this is that Terre Haute shutdown where you saw all of those semis off to the side. This is going to be shut down for a while. It's going to take some time to get that under control, to move all of those vehicles, and then to treat the road and get it cleared. US 40 may be an alternate route, but over the next couple of hours, I think that too will start to become very problematic as additional travel is really going to be halted here in the western part of the state. Take you to a wider view, and then this is the other concern. This is 69 southbound, close to, say, Huntington. Huntington would be about here. Here's Marion. Fort Wayne is up to the northeast. So southbound traffic, you're going to have to find an alternate route. If you know someone that's going to be coming from this area, know that they are going to have slow going. And it's still coming down there. Those snow bands that move through Indy have now lifted to the north, and they're still coating the roadways. So things aren't going to improve. This is the shot we saw earlier. This is that same area that we're talking about. Notice the roadways here are covered. Traffic is moving, but it's moving very, very slowly. In fact, I think they're diverting it because there's a section of Interstate 69 that has no traffic on it at the moment. Let's talk temperatures because this is really going to be critical here. 20s to the north where we're having the concerns right now. 30s in place. And now I know if you've been watching our forecast for the past few days, we talked about the temperatures continuing to warm up overnight. There's one little catch in that. I still think that's going to be the overall trend, but there's one little catch, and it's going to be that the next round of snow may be heavy enough that it helps to push some colder air down to the surface. I'll show you what I mean here in a moment. The visibility, where we're having the heaviest snowfall, the visibility is going down. See this darker color, this darker shade of blue? The rates here are much more intense than, say, what we saw come through earlier. And that means that the next round, I think, will give us the bulk of our accumulation. Likely between, I'd say, about 5 o'clock and maybe 7 or 8 o'clock or so before we do see most of the heaviest precipitation wrap up and then a change over to rain. There's going to be a little bit of a link here between how heavy it's coming down and what it's coming down as. If it can come down heavily enough, it mostly will be snow. Once it lightens up, it'll probably transition over to rain. It can't push that colder air down to the surface. When I show you the wider view, this is the area that I want to talk about. In fact, I'm going to zoom in on this just a bit here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want you to see that when it falls as rain, especially south of St. Louis, this is actually falling as some pretty heavy rain. Once it falls heavily enough and gets into cold enough air, look at how intense the snow rates are going to be right here. That means that there's going to be a band of very heavy snow, and then south of that, there's going to be just wet roadways. I think that same thing will play out once this moves north and east into parts of central Indiana, where we're going to have locations that are getting some really heavy, wet snow. And then just south of there, just a few miles, they may get nothing and it may be very, very wet. So this is the next scenario that's going to play out, I'd say between about 5 and say 8 o'clock or so. This is starting to move our way. Look at how intense that precipitation is. And once it falls, it's going to produce some pretty heavy snow pretty quickly in areas that are already having problems like Interstate 70 in Terre Haute. As far as what to expect, I'll show you this wide and then I'll get in a little bit closer. That batch of heavier precipitation, notice how it lowers the rain snow line just a bit because the rates are so much more intense. And I think that will move our way again between 5 and say 8 o'clock or so. And then as the precipitation lightens up, we'll actually see the rain snow line start to drift to the north. Temperatures overnight are going to do kind of a wonky thing where they're going to really ramp up to about 40 degrees after about, say, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And then by 6 a.m., temperatures will drop yet again. They'll drop very quickly. I think by 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be back down into the mid-20s. That means that all of the rain, all of the slush, all of the mess that's out there, if it hasn't run off, it may flash freeze, and that can make for some really difficult travel for Sunday morning. I know a lot of the roads have been treated, but some of those that don't and that get snow covered, that's just going to freeze solid, and it really is going to add almost a glaze on top of everything that's going to make travel very problematic, and that'll last all through your Sunday. Let me show it to you a little bit closer, and we'll take our time on this. I said that the temperatures would be warming up, but when this batch of heavier snow comes through, it may actually drop the temperatures briefly for an hour or two down into the sub-freezing range. So even though temperatures may pop up above freezing, they may briefly go down below freezing as this batch of heavier snow comes through, and then we'll see that start to rise yet again. So temperatures are actually going to go up overnight briefly, probably even reaching 40 degrees in a few spots. Look at this, 10 o'clock tonight, we're up to 34, but it's almost 40 to the south, and I do think we'll see a couple of 40s pop up here before all is said and done. And then from 1 or 2 in the morning, where we're looking at temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, down to 6 or 7 in the morning, where the temperatures will drop into the mid-20s, and they're going to drop like that. If that happens, and I'm not saying it's 100% guaranteed, but if that happens, boy, will we be talking about some slick spots in the morning, and the temperatures will likely not get above freezing through the entire day on Sunday. Sunday is going to be a cold and a breezy day, by the way. In order to drop the temperatures that fast, you have to move some colder air in, and that's the wind that will be doing that. It will be doing the moving, and you will notice it. The winds will start to pick up. We're still sticking to this forecast. We haven't changed it very much at all. I think the forecast is still on track. If you're looking outside your window and you're in Indianapolis right now, you're probably laughing at me, and I get it, 2 to 4. That seems a little bit generous given how little we've seen so far, but I really think that next batch is going to be on the way. Where I will say that maybe we're overdoing this just a little bit is to the south, this 1 to 2. If this all falls as rain, if that rain snow line really advances pretty quickly, this may not get realized, or what may happen is we may get about an inch of snow in, say, Bloomington, Columbus, maybe into parts of Brown County, but it may get all washed out with some rain and just turn to a little bit of slush. So I know it's going to be a little bit problematic here south of Indianapolis. North from there, if the rates continue, we could certainly realize some of those heavier amounts, especially considering the bulk of the snowfall has not happened yet. I want to repeat that for those that are joining us. The bulk of the snow has not arrived yet. Will likely not arrive until as we get closer to, say, sunset, and then we're expecting some of the heavier amounts. Radar on your right, the look at Indy to your left. Again, a bit of a break now, some good news there. As far as the traffic is concerned, keep a watch on that. Again, we have some interstate shutdowns that are likely going to continue with us. There is Interstate 69 southbound is shut down between Fort Wayne and Indianapolis. This is closer to the Huntington to, say, Marion area. Very slow going, and right now you can see the camera shaking because the winds have picked up as one of those snow bands rolls through, and still seeing some pretty difficult travel conditions. Keep it tuned right here to WTHR Plus. This is the other concern we're going to be watching all throughout the evening. Interstate 70 shut down westbound in Vigo County. This is the western part of the state near Terre Haute. That may be shut down for as long as 5 to 6 hours. We'll have more on WTHR Plus and, of course, on air at 6 o'clock after the football game. Keep it tuned right here for hourly updates.